What's
Yo,
up? Oh, what's up, Cuddy?
was good. We in there.
We're here. We're good. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Clapback Culture. I am your co-host, Jules Jessie, and I have a special co-host in the building,
Yes,
Mr.
sir.
Cuddy. What's up, Cuddy Delgado in the
The man
building?
behind the scenes.
Yes.
You know,
So
the
Cuddy
man
is
of the
usually
unknown. I'm
our
finally
producer
here.
or director, but he's with us because Mike Davis is busy. So he is filling in, and ironically filling in on the last show before the new year.
Hey, gotta finish off right.
Got to. So we're here, you guys. We have a really good show popping for you. We're going to give Cuddy some grace because he hasn't necessarily done this. But Cuddy, you do your own show. Why don't you tell everybody what you do when you're not on Clapback?
Oh, word. Yeah. So, I mean, I do. She did just mention I do my own show. That's new, but it's called Freestyle South, where it's more of a musical platform where I bring artists from Seattle. Well, starting out in Seattle, but bring artists in, I interview them, and then we have a portion where it's a freestyle segment. And so kind of gives you like little funk flex, LA leakers type vibe, but shedding light on Seattle artists because as we know, we don't get the credit that I feel like we deserve. I feel like there's a lot of people from the town that is destined to blow. I feel like it's on the way. So I feel like if I can create more platforms for more eyes and ears to be on the music scene here, I feel like the easier might be for someone to get recognized. So started that show. Episode 2 drops tomorrow at 2 p.m. So for you guys who want to tune into that, you guys can subscribe to my YouTube channel at Freestyle South.
All right,
Mhm.
Freestyle South. Yeah, I
Yeah.
saw a couple pics and stuff on Instagram where it showed the show. You guys, it looked really dope. So I'm gonna definitely go check out the next episode for sure. But since you're here on Clapback, you're gonna get to clap back at some of these trending topics. So the first thing that we talk about on this show is in case you missed it, as you know. And so in case you missed it, and Cuddy, I know you went to a HBCU like me.
Hmm.
But Joe Biden is talking about he is not finna cancel student loan debt, y'all. So this is crazy. I'm not really feeling this, but I mean, he's basically saying that he is no longer, or the Biden administration, I don't want to just put it all on Biden himself, but the Biden administration is saying that they will not extend the student loan relief. And they confirmed that the payments are going to restart on February 1st. In fact, I already got an email that says my joint is on its way. But the press secretary, Jen Psaki, she confirmed to reporters during a press briefing that in the coming weeks, there's a plan that they're going to release. There's going to be more information that comes out, but their plan is to engage federal student loan borrowers to ensure that they have resources they need to be able to repay on their plan. And she also says that they're still assessing the impact of the Omicron variant, which we're still in COVID, so it doesn't matter about the variant at this point. She also says that they're looking for ways to initiate a smooth transition back into repayment, as this is a high priority for the administration. She says the Department of Education is already communicating with borrowers to help them to prepare for the return on February 1. And she says that 41 million borrowers have benefited from the extended student loan repayment pause, but that it absolutely expires on February 1st. So right now we're just making a range of preparations. Cuddy,
Ain't that something?
interesting enough, you go to school, you graduate, you think you're going to get these big time jobs, and then boom, you get hit with all this student loan debt. But you sign on to the student loan debt when you're like 18, 19 years old, and you don't really understand kind of what you're getting into. And I know you're a lot younger than me. You're about 10 years younger than me. And when I went into college, I really had no idea, but I know that young people younger than me are talking about like they don't even want to go to college because of this student loan debt. What are your thoughts on the Biden administration not wanting to extend the student loan relief program?
Well, I mean, I want to touch on a few things that you talked about, especially with you mentioning the fact that like we take on this loan debt at 19 years old, 18, 19, and you don't really know what it is that you want to do. But the way society's set up and how school and everything goes on in this world, it puts a lot of pressure for you to know exactly what you want to do right then and there from the get-go. So that makes it a little harder, from that point. But I just don't like it because for one, with this Biden administration, like even just with presidents in the past, like I feel like a lot of things are like promised, or they use these type of big topics that we know affect our everyday lives and say they're going to address them to gain the vote. And that's one thing that I don't like, because just this type of situation, we've experienced this also with other administrations. So it's kind of
Mhm.
like, what do we expect here? It's, we're kind of getting used to this. And what I really don't like is the fact, like, where has Kamala Harris been? Like, I haven't
Listen,
seen her
where's
since the
where's
viral.
my
We,
sis?
we made it, Joe. Like, I haven't seen her since then at all.
Yeah,
Like, I feel like the
yeah.
Biden administration at this point is using her like they used the lady from Popeyes to do all the commercials. Because we all know that
Oh,
Popeyes is not owned
not
by that
not how we use the lady at Popeyes. I think you're
brother.
right. When you go off to college, especially young people, and especially I was one of the first people in my family to go to college, one of the first to graduate. Um, I'm thinking about how that experience was. Now, I'm not gonna say that I would have changed anything because my student loan debt, while it's high, I would never trade in my experience at Norfolk State University. Behold the green and gold. But I will say that the amount of debt that a student goes in, especially when you're talking about going to an out-of-state school, you're paying twice as much. And I was also a student that worked every single day while I was at school. I got the Parent Plus loan, which meant because my mama didn't make enough money and didn't have the best credit to co-sign a loan for me, they would provide a Parent Plus loan. And because my mom wasn't able to pay that loan back, they garnished her wages. And so it's such a spiral to put you in financial debt that it's criminal. It should absolutely be criminal. When you graduate, before you can even get your paperwork to walk across stage, you have to go through that exit program. Did you have to
The
do that?
exit interview. We had exit interviews, and you got to pay a fee to walk
Yeah, you
across the
got to
stage
pay
as
a
well.
fee for them to tell you how you're going to pay your student loan debt back.
Exactly.
And you can't have a balance in order to get your degree and walk across the stage. So it's crazy. Like I was thinking about it. Honestly, I was thinking about it today. I was like, dang, it'd be really nice if I had a copy of my actual degree to hang it somewhere in my house. But I'm like, I still got student loan debt. So because I still have student loan debt, I can't call Norfolk State and be like, hey, can you give me a copy of my degree? And they're going to say no, because
They haven't
until
sent you it
you
in the mail?
no, I never got my actual degree. I mean, maybe I got my actual degree. My mom has a copy of it, but I don't
Mm.
have the actual one. But I can't get it now.
That's crazy.
I can't
And
even get a
honestly,
copy of my transcript right now.
See, that's the thing, and I feel like they do this on not on purpose, but like I feel like it's some type of
Absolutely on
systematic
purpose.
something because even at Hampton, I experienced in my last year there, like before people, because I had to do one extra semester. So that spring 2019, there were students who were literally a week away from walking across the stage. You got the Airbnbs planned out, all your family didn't buy tickets. But then here comes the financial aid office saying
Hmm.
that kids owe 10K in debt and got a week to pay it or else they're not walking anywhere. So it's like I
Yeah.
don't, especially if it's a HBCU, we're supposed to be for our own. We know exactly how this goes. I know very well that if a student owns 10K in debt, you knew that information well before a week before the commencement ceremony. So that's something that could have been
Absolutely.
expressed to the student, and that's something that the family could have prepared for, try to do a lot better than a week's notice to have to pay $10,000 or else they don't see their daughter or son walk across the stage after the countless hours of studying, the different stress that just comes with school and just like exploring life in itself and just finding yourself. So just all that you have to go through, you mean to tell me that I worked this hard for you to slap this bounty over my head for me, like, and I can't walk? And it's like, where did
Hmm.
this $10,000 come from? Like, I
It's
don't
very
understand.
much a bounty. It's very much a bounty. School is really overpriced. At one point, one of my interest rates, y'all, was over 10%. It wasn't until I consolidated my private student loans because not only could I not get just federal student loans to pay for school, I had to get private loans. I had to get three private student loans. Two of my three private student loans were over 10% in interest. Can you imagine? And at one point, it jumped all the way up to 12%. My to pay all three of those loans, the highest I've ever paid per month was over $415 a month. Think about how much that's more than a standard car payment. $415 a month in student loan payments. And that's just the private loans. That's not even your federal loans. And so when we think about the Biden administration, the administration that ran on talking about student loan forgiveness, that ran on the pillar of saying that we want to figure out how we can get all Americans to reduce their student loan debt, it's one of those things where you're just kind of like, did you pander us, Joe Biden, to get in office? Because we need more of an extension. And I think that this relief, COVID brought a lot of financial relief to students like myself, even though I'm still paying my student loan debt because after I got it consolidated, I got it down. But I'm saying for some of those people who had the burden of a $400, $500 student loan debt, to think about in 2022 that monthly payment is going to hit me again. I don't think there's enough preparation to get somebody back in gear for that. But I say all that to say I still would not change my experience. Norfolk State was the best thing that ever happened to me. So again, behold the green and gold. And I see a lot of you guys in the comments that are like, I wouldn't trade my HBCU experience. I think that's one thing that we can say across the board. If you went to an HBCU, I can't say for a PWI or any other kind of school, but the experience that you get from an HBCU is so unmatched that
Ooh, I'll touch on the experience because, man,
no, touch on the experience when we get to another topic. Because I
okay,
want to
okay,
talk
okay,
about
okay.
when we get to the one of these topics in here, I want to talk about that. But y'all get ready to pay that student loan debt because your boy Joe Biden said he is absolutely going to pay it. I mean, he's actually going to send it through. The emails are already coming through. Figure out how you're going to pay it because they're coming for you pretty much like that. Um, the next topic, Cuddy, this is crazy. And I'm not sure. Do we have the video of this?
Yeah, we have the video.
Okay, so there's a video that came out today, you guys, that went viral. It is of a city judge
Hmm.
following an incident of her home being burglarized. Herself, the judge, her husband, and it sounds like somebody else in the video. They're watching the tape, and somebody's recording them watching the tape. And they are watching the tape and providing racial slurs about the burglar, and she's the sitting judge. So let's play the video. We'll come back and we'll talk about it.
The president of the Lafayette chapter of the NAACP has called for the resignation of Lafayette City Court Judge Michelle Odenay following a video being circulated of Odenay and multiple people being heard inside her home laughing and yelling racial slurs. Over the weekend, Odenay's family was the victim of an armed burglary at their Bendale Gardens home. Police were called and arrested 59-year-old Ronald Handy with 2 counts of simple burglary. He's currently in the Lafayette Parish Correctional Center on a $10,000 bond. Now, following the burglary, cell phone video of security footage from Odenay's home has been posted on several social media sites in which several people in the video are heard yelling racial slurs during playback of the incident. Odenay apologized today and said she was unaware of what was happening after having taken a sedative. In an email from Odenay, it reads in part, quote, "Anyone who knows me and my husband knows this is contrary to the way we live our lives. I'm deeply sorry and ask for your forgiveness and understanding as my family and I deal with the emotional aftermath of this armed burglary," end quote.
Wow.
Get her off the bench now. I mean, the video is so volatile, you guys. So, Cuddy, when you get a second, if you can drop the link to because it's on Twitter, drop the link to the Twitter post so that our audience can view that and you guys can look at it on your own. It was absolutely too salacious for us to play on the show, but look at it in your own time. This is somebody who is behind the bench. She's dropping the N-word with the ER on the end. And she's also referring to the burglar as a roach, which we also know to be a racial slur for Black people. When you think about a judge, you think about a judge who has to be unbiased. So how can you be unbiased, but you're referring to Black people as an N-word? There's no way to think about that. You absolutely have biased feelings about African Americans. And so for this judge to sit back and use the excuse that she's a victim and that she was under a sedative and she doesn't even remember saying that. Well, it doesn't matter whether or not you remember saying it, Judge. What matters is that there's cell phone video of you absolutely saying it, not once, not twice, but 3 times calling somebody an N-word and referring to them as a roach, you and your husband. So we don't care that you were burglarized. We don't care that you were traumatized. We don't care that you were victimized. At the end of the day, that person is booked and charged and sitting in the county jail. And now it's time for you to be booked and charged and move yourself off that bench. Thank you very much.
That part.
That part.
I definitely agree with you.
Can you imagine?
Someone of that stature in that position of power that she's in, there's no room for that or any excuse for those type of remarks to even come out of her mouth at all. So I feel like she should be removed immediately because it's no different than the way society tries to harp on, get on top of NBA players or somebody interacting with a fan because they feel like they can just talk to you any type of way. But as soon as an NBA player responds, now all of a sudden, oh, you're a professional, you shouldn't be talking like that. So that same narrative and that whole standard that people set on them, that needs to be carried across the board for a position of power, period. And then on top of that, I want to touch on the thing that we hear oftentimes, that like these racists or KKK members, not saying she is one, but they no longer wear a white hood. They are our police officers. They are our judges. They are people in positions of power. So I feel like that narrative in itself, this situation fits that. And I don't think it's okay at all. And I believe that she needs to be removed from her position.
Yeah, that's a really good point that you made, drawing the example from like athletes and people in power. You're right. Like when you become a professional athlete, people look at you, they want to know your conduct on the floor and off the floor. And so when we think about a judge who's in a position of sentencing people for their crimes and their mistakes, we have to hold somebody like who has that type of authority and that type of power to change the trajectory of somebody's life. We have to take those people and hold them to the highest level. Like there's just no way. Like I don't know why she resigned, you guys. She resigned and took a leave. I mean, excuse me, she didn't resign. She took a leave of unpaid. She took a leave of absence unpaid. but she's refusing to resign. My question is, why is it taking so long for somebody to fire her? We don't need her to resign. She can just be fired. You know what I'm saying? And at this point, I understand that the person is still obviously going to be charged for their crimes because this was something that happened afterwards. But she should absolutely be disbarred, and they should look into her cases following this. That would be my thing. If there's a lawyer and there's somebody who was sentenced under her authority, I would absolutely reach back out to my attorney and say, I need you to have them look into all of her cases and see, was there some bias decision making in the process.
I agree.
So I see in the comments, you guys can't find it. We're gonna have Cuddy drop that link in there before the end of the show. So just stay tuned, Dora. You'll sit through this show and see. But it's the video is unreal when you guys see it. Another thing that is unreal that went viral again on social media is this idea of suicide pods. Okay, so Switzerland allows for legal suicide, and they have for a number of years.
Since 1942.
Since 1942. It's a long time. But what makes this interesting is that there's a new technology that they're introducing called suicide pods. We have a clip. It's a little bit long, but it's worth watching the whole thing so we can get the full breadth of information. Let's take a look.
Switzerland has done the unthinkable. It has introduced a machine for painless suicide. A coffin-like device made with a 3D printer. It can be transported to idyllic locations for people wanting to end their life. This news may sound disturbing, even evil. But for the people of Switzerland, it isn't. Assisted suicide with unselfish motives has been legal in the country since 1942. A total of 1,300 people ended their lives through such services in 2020 alone. So the introduction of a suicide machine isn't much of a surprise. Its creator says it only aims to make the process more peaceful, allows an individual to die more quickly with minimal pain. The device is being called the sarcopod. That's short for sarcophagus, a stone coffin used in ancient Egypt. It was developed by Dr. Philip Nitschke, also known as Dr. Death due to his euthanasia activism. He says the idea behind this device was to remove any kind of psychiatric review from the process of suicide and allow individuals to control the process themselves. How does that work? The process is unsettling. In order to use this machine, a person must first fill a survey to provide evidence that the decision to end their life is on their own accord. If they pass the test, the device will be shipped wherever they want. An exclusive access code will be given to make it work. Once inside the pod, the user will have to start the fatal process themselves. They will have to press a button which will reduce internal oxygen levels. The pod, which is biodegradable, can then be detached to be used as a coffin. The makers have a fair argument for coming up with this device, but it's scary nonetheless. Dying with dignity may be a legal right in many countries, but should making profit of someone's death also be legal? Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
I couldn't believe this when I saw this. What do we? I'm speechless.
This is inhumane, bro. There's no way that you could possibly think this is okay. They're literally profiting off people taking their lives.
I know.
That's crazy.
It's very dark. It is very, very, very dark. And then to think the mechanisms in place are like, you go in, you take a survey to see if you're eligible.
Even that raises questions. Because it's like, for one, who is in charge of administrating this survey? Like, who is clearing this and making this like a certified, hey, you're allowed to kill yourself type survey? Like, who's behind that?
Who stands for that?
What? That makes no sense.
Who's the clearinghouse behind that? Chip.
And then it's like, what kind of questions are they asking you? Like, what do you have to say or be going through to clear you and be like, yep, you can take your life?
Well, okay. So I found this on the internet. Chip, I see. Do you know anything about euthanasia? I see that you have posted it in the comments. I keep hearing that word when I'm looking this up. Drop something in the comments if you can shed a little bit more light on this. But I was looking at this on Instagram, and I was swiping through a couple tweets where people were talking about it, and these were just some screen grabs. I mean, and you would be shocked that there's a lot of people that feel like this is a lot more humane, and that individuals who are suffering from medical diagnosis, and they're named, that are suffering from mental health issues and just feel like there's just not enough medication in the world to make me feel better, that should I want to opt to make this choice, that this is a great way for me to end my pain.
So before we even came on, I was talking to someone, and he was saying how they're interviewed an older gentleman who was like, I can't really remember exactly what age he said the gentleman was, but apparently he was old, and he felt like he served his time. He was like, as he was getting interviewed, he was going on to say, like, you know, like, I've been around for a long time. I'm just kind of ready to go. And I figured what would be the most painless, easiest way to do it. And then I found the suicide pod. And I mean, don't quote me because I didn't see with my own 2 eyes. But apparently in the video, he hopped in the pod. So I don't know. But this pod, this whole clip, it just raises so many questions. For one, let's just talk about the technology that we have now in this day. They said that machine is built from a 3D printer. Like, what? We have technology that is like, have you, even speaking of 3D printers, like, they even got things where you can build guns out of a 3D printer that can really kill someone. So it's just crazy, like, how evolution of our technology and just how we've expanded thus far. Like, this is crazy. The fact that they can make this. And then it's like, my thing is, okay, wouldn't you want, if someone is inquiring to buy a suicide pod, wouldn't that set off an alarm to want to get some mental health professional to try to help them instead of encouraging their suicide?
Sought for mental health, right? And then think about the people who are like, okay, maybe I'm dying from a terminal disease, and I'm just done. And maybe I just don't want to keep fighting through this. Is there a way? And I'm looking at it in the chat. Catherine Keller mentions that, you know, we have death with dignity in Washington State. I think Chip is also mentioning that it's in Oregon, that they're looking to adopt that. Is this death with dignity that someone can go in here and make the decision? If I can make the decision to live, can I also make the decision to die? I think my issue here is that someone profits off of it. But at the same time, death is a business.
It is, but my thing is too, like, you know how they got how there's a whole market in like organs and all that type of thing. Like, I'm trying to figure out, like, first of all, what does it cost to kill yourself? And I'm saying it like that because that's literally what it is.
That's fair. I feel like that's a fair question. Yes. How much does it cost to get in this pod? Because
how much is your life worth at that point? That's what the question is.
Yikes.
You're willing to pay an X amount of money to take your life.
And do you have to pay that in full before you can even hop in the pod?
That's what I want to know. I think you would have to, because you have to, I'm sure when you submit that survey, you're also submitting a payment, because they said once the survey is sent in and you get cleared, the pod is then sent to your house, which is crazy. Like, yeah,
this is just so dark. It's so dark. It's so dark. But look, y'all, I thought this was just something crazy to talk about. You know, here on this show, we're going to bring you some crazy topics, but let's take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about what is going on in the culture. There's so many great things to talk about, so we'll brighten up the mood. Stay tuned.
Converge Media produces culturally relevant content for Black and urban audiences. Our coverage is raw, transparent, and objective, praised by community leaders, government officials, and residents. Support Converge Media today via Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal at Converge Media.
All right, y'all, welcome back. Make sure to drop those holiday donations to Converge and keep us on the air. Go ahead and support Black media. So good news. Our girl, Kim Kardashian, is making progress, honey, in her studies to become a lawyer. She went ahead and passed that baby bar. She announced it on Monday through her social media platform that she passed California's baby bar, which is technically the first year law students examination. She talked about on social media in a paragraph that she's really proud of the woman she's looking back today in the reflection of. She says, for anyone who doesn't know my law school journey, no, this wasn't easy or handed to me. I failed the exam 3 times in 2 years, but I got back up each time and studied harder and tried again until I did it. I did have COVID on the 3rd try with 104 fever, but I'm not making any excuses, she says. She also goes into just thanking her mentors, thanking her professors, thanking Van Jones, who's been an advocate to helping her get her law degree. And she talks about just, how her dad would be really proud of her. This is such a great feat for her. I mean, she's taking a non-traditional approach to law school. I mean, she clearly is a super celebrity, so I don't think it would make sense for her to go to any law school campus. And so not only is this a non-traditional route, but this is a very difficult route in order for her to get certified. So kudos to her for really actually going in there and starting it and finishing. So I'm here for this. She's a huge advocate for prison reform. We see that she is, putting action behind the words, and I'm supporting this, man. I love it. I'm here for it all the way.
I'm here for it too. I mean, today was my first time ever hearing the bar referred to as the baby bar. I didn't know that was today. But no, honestly, it's a victory for her. Everything that she's been through, as far as all that we know about her and how she came about into even becoming a celebrity, I feel like this is definitely a win for Kim Kardashian. And I feel like this is definitely something worth being proud of, is not only just passing the bar and becoming a lawyer, but the history just with her, that being with her, what her father was and everything, just following in that footsteps. And despite of everything going on, especially a celebrity like her, and being the reality TV and stuff that she did, and just everyone being so involved in her life and having an opinion, I feel like for her to be able to do this for herself quietly too, like not even trying to make it a story or a headline, just literally doing something for herself, and just getting another accolade under her belt. Hey, there's a lot of people who say they couldn't have done that. So, and especially just the perseverance. She said she failed the test 3 times in 2 years. So the fact that just goes to show that this isn't just for publicity or whatever. Like, nah, she's really trying to do this. She persevered through everything that she needed to, and now she has passed this bar. So congrats to her.
Congrats to Kim Kardashian. So I think one thing about this too is, you look at her story, you look at how she started, and I won't even mention, but actually I think it is worth mentioning. Like, Kim Kardashian got famous for someone leaking a sex tape, and now she has just totally transformed her career. She's created a whole new industry of reality TV, her mom, and for her sisters. And I think she's absolutely phenomenal what she's done with just branding and marketing. Their show came out at the beginning of social media, and they were one of the first influencers. And so to see somebody who has a platform that doesn't necessarily have to be, I mean, she could pay for some of the top attorneys to do these things, right? She can be an advocate without actually being a lawyer herself, but she's taking the time and sitting in the courtrooms and actually seeing how this is done. And it shows that she's an extremely smart woman, an extremely smart businesswoman. And I love this. I think it is showing people all across the world that celebrities are not as shallow as we may think they are or come across on TV. And so this is a win for the culture, in my opinion. And shout out to her, man. Like, I love it. I absolutely love it.
Big
Some
up
more
to Kim
wins
K.
study. Shout out to Kim K. And she dropped Kanye West too. She double backed and said, yeah, nah.
Yeah.
The divorce is definitely going through. So shout out to her on
Bro,
that too. I
my
feel like
man
she's,
going through it too, trying to get that girl back.
yeah,
It must
well,
be this law degree she got. And passing that
ooh,
bar.
she's upgrading. She's upgrading. She said, yeah, no, thank
Definitely.
you. They don't have the same political views. So there's that part too. Um, Megan Thee Stallion is somebody we should celebrate. Also, she celebrated and announced on social media that she is officially a college graduate, y'all. So congratulations to the hot girl coach. She's as you guys know, she's a Grammy award winning rapper. Um, and she got her bachelor's degree in health administration from Texas Southern University, another HBCU. Ow. And she's really, really happy about this. She posted on her social media and talked about how her parents would be really proud of her. Both her mom and dad have passed away. And again, this is another celebrity who absolutely did not need to go back to school to do anything. But she does this, and she finished her degree out. She has it. She's still talking about wanting to open nursing facilities and group homes and stuff like that. Shout out to her, man. Education is one thing that you cannot take away from somebody. These women right here are so uber powerful. And here we are, we're talking about student loan debt. Education still is something that people want to obtain regardless of how much it is, but we absolutely need to make these things more affordable so that people will still want to go. I mean, we're looking at the Kim Kardashians, the Meg Thee Stallions. Like, if our hot girl coach wants to go and finish college, more girls are going to be tempted to want to go to college and at HBCU at that. So shout out to Meg. She also signed a new deal with Netflix. So she's going to do some creating and producing shows over there. And she was also in the same week, y'all, she's killing it down in Houston, her hometown. She was awarded with the humanitarian award by the city. So she's got a lot to just like celebrate this this week. Shout out to her. Black girl magic. We love to see it.
Because especially like with her just setting that example, because with her being on the platform that she is and the lifestyle also that she's a part of, there's a lot of girls who are looking up to her. So the fact that she can show that difference where it's like, all right, bet, yeah, I can be popular, I'm doing this song, this hot girl summer, but at the same time, I'm gonna get this education too. Because that's one thing that you're not finna hold on. So the fact that she did that, and just the load that her life probably is, as much as recording and photo shoots and everything else going on in her life, the fact that everybody knows like how rigorous college can be, and especially like having to do it online and just not having that in-person schooling, like that in itself is a challenge. So the fact that she was able to overcome that and still get her degree, that's dope. And then definitely just want to do a quick shout out because the admin that was with her in that picture, I actually went to school with her daughter, and I seen this picture earlier on her story, and she was like, "Oh, that's dope. My mom's with Megan Thee Stallion." So, shout out to
that's dope that her mom is the president of Texas Southern University too.
Yeah,
that's boss
big.
up.
That's big, but Megan Thee Stallion is definitely on some moves from the. She did the Savage Fendi you're talking about. She has Netflix. I was just watching her interview on the show called Hot Ones. She has her own like hot sauce line coming out, and I think it's through Popeyes. I'm not sure, but yeah, she has her own. So she's making moves regardless. Yeah. So big ups to her.
Yeah, she's super multi-talented, multifaceted. So I don't see her, kind of sticking to one lane. I think the best thing that social media has done is allowed celebrities / influencers be able to expand their brands and be able to use their platform to create whatever they want and market whatever they want. So they don't have to stay in any, they don't have to stay in these lines. So I love it. I'm such a stan for Megan. Like,
and she's not the only one getting done in the classroom. Shout out to J.R. Smith too, who just finished his first semester at NCAT with a 4.0, and he's on the golf team. So yeah, no, shout out to JR too.
That's crazy. So speaking of HBCUs and students, we have another person to celebrate, you guys. So Deion Sanders landed the top high school football recruit, Travis Hunter, at Jackson State University. Another HBCU, you guys. And when I tell you the Power 5 teams are losing their mind, they cannot believe that this young kid went ahead and signed to Deion Sanders. But to me, I'm looking at it like it's a no-brainer. Deion was talking on one of the podcasts he was talking on a podcast, and he said they should have never let Travis Hunter come to Jackson State for homecoming weekend. And he said that his son took him around not only to the game, but the locker room, and then toured him around after that. And so if you guys know anything about an HBCU, homecoming weekend is a must have. Florida State should have never let that boy go there for homecoming. So I'm sure that's what got him.
We actually got a clip too. Let's
play that clip.
Let's play the clip real quick and then we'll go back into it.
Real good too, but I'm gonna say that for later. I like this one. It fit me well, but that move I want. I always been on my mind. But check me out, Mark. Don't be that happy.
Oh my God. Yes, he's such an independent thinker. You can tell that based on the decision that he made, because there's so many coaches and athletes and just people who think that Power 5 teams are just the only way to go. Even when I was in high school, my teachers discouraged me from going to an HBCU. And they were like, you're better than those schools. And to think about the top recruit making this type of consideration, not only because Deion Sanders is there, but because he's going to get a full experience. He's going to understand how to be on the field, and he's going to have a life outside of the field. And I think that when you think about making this type of decision when you're so young like this, like he's a kid coming out of high school, this is honestly the type of track that we should absolutely be putting Black athletes on. Even though they go to these PWIs, they're 75, 80% Black kids on the team, but then it's 99%, non-African American at the school. And that is a different type of culture and experience. When you go to an HBCU and you're around everybody and you're infused and immersed in your culture, it's just a different level of experience. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a family at school. And I think that kids who graduate out of HBCUs, they do so much better because there's so many people around them that encourage them to be great and not quit, and really ask them to tap into their value, tap into their wealth. I mean, I'm such a huge advocate for this, and I'm in love with the decision that Travis Hunter made. He made history, and he's breaking the narrative that you have to go to these Power 5 schools when you're one of the top picks.
Nah, for sure. Definitely shout out to Travis Hunter and to Deion Sanders, but at the same time too, you got to start off with this. Like, what did they expect? You have one of the best, if not the best, corner to ever play in the league. You gave him a head coaching position, and you mean to tell me that the number one cornerback Yeah, he plays offense too, but he is a cornerback first. You mean to tell me he wouldn't want to go learn from the GOAT himself? And nah, you're right. They definitely messed up letting him go to homecoming because that experience that will change any person's mind. That'll, that'll change a white person's mind on what school they want to go to if
Oh
they come
yeah.
to a HBCU homecoming. So like,
Yes.
definitely shout out to them. But it's also just like shout out to them for being pioneers of something that is going to create a domino effect. Shout out to
Mhm.
Dion for being a pioneer in the aspect of just changing the narrative or how they even view HBCUs and just paying attention to the details to really give his players an experience, to really give them a sense of family, and to give them just the knowledge to be able to make it once they leave these schools. Because if you think about it too, like most of those Power Five, majority of those Power Five schools, like they're getting number one recruits all the time. So it's always another you. So at that point, it's
Right.
like it's the next man in line. Whereas at Jackson State, they're preparing you for the next steps, whether you play football afterwards or not. They're preparing you for life, and just the exposure that he's bringing to them. HBCU games, they're playing on TV, them having a sold out arena and homecoming, the
Mhm.
different celebrities that come and visit the school or NFL players that come to, because it's like see it, touch it, attain it. So the fact that he's bringing them around that element, they got NFL players coming to counsel them or coach them up, teach them something, might run
Yeah.
some routes with them. As you see, Terrell Owens, he went out there and did some work with the DBs and all that. That type of thing right there makes a kid believe like, all right, I can do this, you know? And
Yeah.
then so just from that, and then I even got some notes here. Like, let's think about it. So 46% of black athletes, they make up the largest demographic in the Power Five conference. And that's according to Scooby Action from NBC News. So we almost make up 50% of college football rosters in the first place. So
Mhm.
my thing is, if you think about it, these schools, these Power Five, they have all this power, the notoriety, all that, the money and all that, because these athletes are going to their schools and that's who these people are coming to pay and want to watch and see. Now imagine if you those same players go to an HBCU such as Travis, such as Deion Sanders' son, like they're starting a new trend. So the
Mhm.
fact is, at the end of the day, you're gonna go where the player goes. So those views are gonna now shift to an HBCU game, and at the end of the day, if you don't think that NFL recruiters didn't already know about him and aren't going to be following his career,
They
you're out
absolutely
your mind. So,
are.
like, really now with him doing this, all it takes is for them to beat a Power Five school, which is going to happen because I'm sure this is now going to get put on their schedule. Because, not to mention, yes, they have Travis Hunter, but they have 7 top recruits that are coming to JSU. You feel me? So it's
Yeah.
going to take that. And then once they do that, and it's making it having those producing players to go to the league. Because if you think about it, a hard fact to, swallow is the fact that there's 0 players from HBCUs who are drafted in the 2021 draft. 0. So
What honestly,
now Deion Sanders has the opportunity and the platform to be able to change that. And then also show now like what you're missing out on. Like I have line brothers and also frat brothers who did the combine and all that, but because of COVID or because Hampton doesn't get the necessary limelight, now everything that they worked for their whole life is just gone. And they just gotta make do with what they got and just try to get the little corporate job that goes with their major. But we are like that wasn't their initial plan. We know where their love and their passion for is what they want to do. Like we all know everybody's not gonna make it to the league, but I at least want a fighting chance. Because if you think about it, most HBCU players, especially like think about how many HBCUs aren't even on like that social media limelight where like they get highlighted and seen all the time. They're not a Hampton, a Howard, a Spelman. Think about those. And think about the
and
players that go there that get no type of limelight, anybody coming to nothing. You feel me? Barely fans in the stands. Like, how do you expect them to really produce? And it's like Dion's
I
paying
think
attention to the details, man. Just like even putting last names on their jerseys. He's like, why is that so hard? Like, you don't think that this man's mother, grandmother, cousins, they don't want to see that last name rocked out on TV? Just
honestly,
even
this whole thing is made possible because Deion Sanders has realized that he's such a pivotal role, right? He is the reason why these things are being able to come into fruition. Because it's not only Deion Sanders, right? There's top NFL staff that now work at JSU. And
Ex head
so,
coach from the Cincinnati Bengals is now the head coach of an HBCU.
but even at JSU, I'm talking about their
Oh yeah, the
entire
people he brought with
coaching
him, ex players that
staff.
he
Like,
played with the Cowboys and everybody, they're all over there.
yes, I mean they're a fully loaded clip over there, and so
Mhm.
you're going over to a program, right? And so not only are you going to be able to work with the best cornerback that ever lived, that ever touched the field, but you're also getting a full program. And a lot of times we don't have a lot of funding to be able to get top professionals, and so being able to have former athletes or former or even just top coaches look at recognize the value in a HBCU and say, you know what, I want to bring my experience. I want to bring my celebrity. I want to bring my network, because head coaches are going to bring their network. I want to bring my network right here to this HBCU so that I can provide a platform for these young people that come into our program and give them a holistic experience. Because I already know when I watched the Skip and Bayless show and I was listening to I'm sorry, to Shannon and Skip, and I was listening to Shannon, and he was like, "Come on, man, I've known Dion forever. If you let Dion get into a room with your mother, he's gonna make you feel so comfortable that your child is in the best of hands." He was like, "He's such a great guy." I think when, especially because we have so many fatherless homes, and I'm not saying that's what Travis comes from, but I'm saying that when you have so many fatherless homes, a coach to a young man is such a powerful role that this young man is probably looking at Dion like, I not only want somebody to coach me on the field, but I need somebody to coach me in life, to show me how to be a man on and off the field.
Which is
Look at
the role of a
we
coach.
just talked about it. We just talked about Megan Thee Stallion. Megan Thee Stallion's doing Netflix. She's got hot sauces coming out. She just graduated from college. This woman is not going to box herself into being a rapper. Kim Kardashian, she's in Forbes. She's a billionaire. She's not going to box herself in by just being a reality TV star. People are no longer going to try to just fit into this mold. They want to do more. They want to be more. They want to be full, complete brands. Travis Hunter has so much more going for him to work under that type of leadership, to think about his whole entire life and the things that he can do. If he, God forbid, doesn't make it into the NFL or just chooses not to continue that path or cannot finish that path, he's going to be equipped to handle himself off the field.
That he will be. And before we get off this topic, I have two tweets that I just need to point out.
Tell
Or
us.
it's actually, we got three slides, because one, I need for Channing Crowder to please eat his own words, because he is a member of I Am Athlete podcast, and on an episode he said this: that ain't no top athlete picking Jackson State over Power 5. And as you can see, he's just been proven wrong with that.
Yeah.
And then, but also, I just want to people to just think about the things that, like, on how people view you, even at those Power 5s. Like, they're showing you all this love when you're winning games, you're bringing championships back. But the moment you do something that they don't like, here's examples on how that can easily change. So we have a tweet here from a fan, and said, "My most prized possession of all my FSU memorabilia, Dion was my childhood hero. I hope they never allow him back on campus. FSU should immediately unretire his number as well. And he has never given a dime back to the school, so no one should really be surprised."
Wow. Wait, hold on. That was in response to him signing.
That is in response to Travis Hunter deciding to decommit or from FSU and decide to go to Jackson State.
Mm.
And so but this then brings me to another post where a guy from HBCU alum football, he was just saying that athletes need to use this situation and really become aware of how people feel you. So This one says, recruits, please pay attention at how fans are reacting to the Travis Hunter news. You see that these folks only want your talent. Your humanity means not a damn thing to them. Stop allowing yourself to be played.
Period. No, that's the truth. Athletes have to remember their power. I mean, without a star athlete, I think LeBron James was one of the best people to really to highlight and take control of his power and say, "Nah, I don't have to stay with this team. I'm here to win championships and I'm here to structure the career that I want." So, I don't have to be loyal to Cleveland. I don't have to be loyal to anybody but myself. My loyalty is going to be in that I'm going to create a team that I want to win championships. And I think that's the smartest thing he ever did, and it taught everybody a lot that the players are very much in control of the franchise.
Definitely. And before we move on, I just want to say I hope this really sparks and motivates a lot of ex NFL players, or just top athletes, college players, retired, just whatever it might be, to just invest. And if you don't know, do your research, go back, and whatever, there might be a HBCU in the city, that the state that you're in, just do something. I just hope it sparks that. And I hope, because if you think about it, Travis Hunter for athletes and Dion for coaches, like, he made it look cool. Those are the guys, because it always takes that one person to go out and do it, and they see that it's good. Now everybody wants to do it. So I'm glad that it's these guys who are in that position to make it look cool. And I hope that they just, do a good job of doing that and just keep making it look swaggy as they go out there and win those games and really make history. And just hope that carries on for other people to do the same.
Yeah, I applaud that. I applaud that. Well, we are out of time, Cuddy. We don't have time for nothing else. So this is our last show of 2021. I think the best way to end this in the last couple minutes that we have is just to talk about our New Year's resolution. What do you want to bring into the new year, Cuddy? Like, what are your thoughts? What is one thing that you're going to take into 2022?
You said, what am I going to take into it?
Yeah, so
honestly, it's probably the new mindset and just drive that I picked up once we went to Believes. Just looking at that lifestyle and just looking at life for what it is from that perspective, and just all the love that was just shown, from given, projected from us, and then just being received by the people down there. Like, it just made my whole aspect, like, I just wanted to just do more. I'm like, I'm done talking about whatever it is that I'm going to be doing. Like, we're just doing things. There's no more talking about it. It's straight action. And so that's what I'm taking in. Like, I was talking to my cousin, and she asked me, she was like, what do you feel like's in your way? And I said, nothing or nobody. Like, it's me versus myself. I'm not looking in anyone else's lane, and I'm doing me. And I set out a plan from whether it be this next year to 5 years. I wrote it down. So now it's manifested. It's out there. And so now it's just up to me to stick to it and just do what I said I'm going to do. And that's my plan.
I love it. I can't wait to see all of that come into fruition for you. I think for me, it's going to be getting out of my comfort zone. So that's my mantra for 2022. Get out of your comfort zone. I'm going to do things to push myself into a place of being uncomfortable so that I can get to a new level, start reaching new heights. Sometimes when you get too comfortable, you can sit in that, and then you don't allow yourself to get growth. Like, there's no more room for anything else. So I want to plant more seeds. I want to get uncomfortable. I want to shake some things up. And I just want to try my best to continue to transform, continue to blossom. So that's what I'm looking forward to in 2022. Y'all, me and Cuddy, we shot a show in Belize. I'm going to do a shameless plug called Essential Eats. So you will see Cuddy and I. We're definitely gonna have to drop some of those shows as soon as we get them edited the best way possible. We're gonna be traveling around to different cities, different countries, and tapping into some of the best eat spots to talk about food, drinks, and everything on the menu, as you already know. And we're going to bring those episodes to you definitely in 2022. So definitely stay on the lookout for that. Cuddy, when you're not here on Clapback directing or in the show seat, where can they find you?
You guys can find me on Instagram at Cuddy the Sensei. That's CUDDYTHASENSEI.
Cuddy the Sensei. All right. And y'all can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Treasure of JULES. You know what it is. And that's our show. Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah. Happy Kwanzaa. Happy New Year. We love you. And we will see you in January. Peace.
Peace, y'all.